All right, good morning, everybody. We are being now live streamed on the YouTube at 9:08 a.m. and our meeting is coming to order. I believe we all actually know each other and don't need to do any introductions unless there are some guests that I am unaware of that have popped on. We did have one person that had registered to speak, but I do not see that they are on yet. Morning, Alicia. And if I didn't say good morning to everybody, I'm sorry. So if we don't have any public comment, we can actually move on to the agenda for the approval of June minutes. And just to reiterate, we do not have anybody that is wanting to make public comment.
Correct, they're not.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval of June's minutes. Were you guys able to take a gander at the June minutes? If there, yes, are there any corrections that would like to be suggested and added in for correcting?
Yeah, the only addition I have, Kristen, would be towards the bottom. I suggested the formation of a committee, and that was just in regards, a subcommittee in regards to the Shade Tree Commission's financing of employees. But that, you know, that commission wasn't formed, or subcommittee wasn't formed, it wasn't voted on. It's just clarification of my comment.
Thank you, and noted.
Just one other minor thing, just a typo. My name is misspelled on the bottom of the second page. It says Brain instead of Brian.
But you're a brain. Okay. And anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Matt is making a motion. Does anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second it with the amendments.
Lisa is seconding the motion with amendments. All those in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
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 James, anyone say any nays? All yays for members present, no nays on record. Passes on to number 2. Number 2 would be reports. Forestry, I know some of you guys have to get off soon, so it would be lovely if you wanted to start. Please.
Okay, sure. Hi, everybody. I just want to really been consumed with all the storm events that we've been having. We've had an extraordinarily busy past 2.5 weeks with the different events, anywhere between 25 to 50, you know, 3-mile long calls and things that are coming over with the EOC. Our crews have been working pretty much, you know, doubling out, that kind of thing. And it's just been really frustrating, but, you know, most of the stuff I can report is not necessarily city trees as much as it's private trees that are falling into rights-of-ways and things that we have to take care of. Shenley Park did receive a lot of the brunt of the last storm that we got, so we're going to, again, have crews out there this weekend working on just putting flush cuts on broken branches or ripped branches and cleaning up so that they can keep the rentals going, you know, around the parks, because there's a lot of down branches and trees near some of the pavilions. So that's pretty much what we've been dealing with, and then also dealing with equipment issues, just, you know, not being able to get parts for equipment and just relying heavily on our divisions for support in that regard. But other than that, we're just looking forward to the fall planting season. We're doing all of the prep work and stuff that now we've been requested to do our partner organization, WPC, with the Tree Vitalize program. And just trying to, get that stuff in the queue and getting taken care of. So really nothing other than that. I've been a bit preoccupied actually dealing with a lot of this stuff. So, but there's nothing else really major that needs to be reported. Michael might have some reports.
Thank you, Lisa. Michael, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of projects going on with the utilities right now. PWSA is working on their Thomas and McPherson stormwater, and we managed to get through with an arborist and have all the pruning for tree protection and the fencing installed in advance of work. It went as smoothly as we can get on one of these projects. They're also working on their Maryland Avenue stormwater capture system, and tree removals should be beginning there in the next, I think the next 4 weeks. They're planning on moving to the first block with trees. We're also coordinating with People's Gas to protect trees on Ingham Avenue. There was a little bit of a miscommunication on a project up there, but we were able to get in and get everything sorted out and respect the minimum tree protection zone for roots, and get them to hydrovac instead of excavate, and really cut down on damage to some high value trees up there. So things are rolling along and expanding as we work more closely with the utility companies.
That's great, Michael. Thank you for sharing that. Tree Pittsburgh, would you care to report out on some of your fun activities?
Yeah, we've been assisting with our Tree Vitalize partners to organize for fall planting. We are also planning on planting several thousand trees outside of Tree Vitalize at Tree Pittsburgh. So we have a lot of projects with Pittsburgh Public Schools. We have a lot of projects in our relief neighborhoods of Lawrenceville, Manchester, and Hazelwood. So we're trying to, grow those tree canopies in those neighborhoods. Our tree adoption program is getting organized for the fall. So we'll be giving away several thousand trees to homeowners to plant in their yards. So those dates will be coming out shortly. We are hiring 2 positions at Tree Pittsburgh. So if you know anybody who's interested in getting involved in community forestry in the city, please send them to our website to check out those 2 job descriptions. Tree Pittsburgh is hosting a legislative open house today, trying to get our political leaders more aware of trees and the work that Tree Pittsburgh does. Hopefully that'll increase our accessibility to government funding in the future. And, we were in a pretty harsh drought there right before the tropical storm showed up here. So trees were significantly stressed across the landscape, and we were out watering as much as possible. Certainly a lot of stressed trees succumbed to pest and disease issues during that drought period, but thankfully this rain came and will benefit the majority of trees out there. That's all for my updates.
Thanks, Matt. That sounds awesome. And like a lot of new trees will be growing to people's homes. Rebecca, did you want to have anything that you needed to share?
Hey, good morning. No, I don't have any updates really this morning. Yeah, we can't. We're just kind of trucking along on our grants. The one for the Hazelwood Greenway. Actually, the one for the Hazelwood Greenway closed out, and we've started another one from the National Recreation and Parks Association. So we've gotten $433,000 over 2.5 years to expand the Greenways program citywide.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Yay.
That's about it.
Thank you. And Andrea, did you have anything that you wanted to report out?
Not really. We did a little bit of our capital request reviews. I'm not sure if I mentioned last time, I did put in another request for $100,000 towards planting trees, and I don't think we got to make that plug to the mayor, but the Office of Management and Budget seemed to be supportive of it. So
that's great. Thank you. And Michael, you reported out. James, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
Yeah, just two quick things. First is that PWSA has, in the final stages of selecting and reviewing RFPs for our stormwater master plan. And so there will be significant, component of that involving, trees, tree pits, and, how the interaction with stormwater from that perspective. The second thing is the stormwater code update and review has passed most of the barriers, except this final one now is it's going to be before City Council and up for public hearing on September 21st, and hopefully then to be voted on for approval at City Council and then passed on to the mayor for signature. So look for those notifications to go out and the updates to follow once that new code is adopted.
That's great, James. If you wanted to share them, we can share them out to the group too, whenever that stuff's all available online.
Sure.
Thank you. And I don't ever want to, deny anybody from talking during this wonderful meeting we have here. Was there anything that any other commissioners wanted to share regarding reporting out on what they're doing at their respective places?
Hi, Kristen, it's Alicia. James, hi. James, I had a question for you. Is there a way that the Shade Tree Commission as a whole can help to advocate for those code changes? Is there support that could be useful?
Yeah, I was gonna say there will be a public comment period that I think begins on September 1st. Anybody who wants to do so may comment on it and advocate for it at that point. I don't know if as a as a commission, how maybe we can talk about how if there's a desire to have a formal position on this. That's something to be discussed, I guess.
That was really great of you to bring that up, Alicia. I know in the past, Marty had wrote letters of support to Tree Pittsburgh and PADCNR and stuff for more funding for doing tree identifications and stuff, if I remember correctly, which I very well may not, but you guys can correct me if I am wrong or if I'm right. Would that be something that we as commissioners would be interested in making a public statement and issuing it?
I think I'd want to read it first just to see, I know we had some input in some of it earlier on, but I'd like to see what the final, or the latest draft, I guess. But if it's something that's going to help with trees and stormwater, I think it could be appropriate, but I'd like to read it first.
So James, you said that public comment begins 9/1, and I, write a bunch of stuff down. Did you say it ended on 9/21?
The council hearing is on 9/21. I don't know. I think the public comment period is up through that date. So I think it's supposed to be a 3-week period.
Well, that would be after our September meeting. So if that is something that we were supportive of, we could work on a draft and then at our meeting on the 16th, vote on it and then submit it. So it would be part of that.
And I can provide copies of the draft legislation that has been supplied to council. There may be some tweaks and changes to it, once they get a hold of it, and if there's anything they want to see different in it, but all in all, I think it's pretty solid. A lot of the changes were just moving things from Title IX into the new Title 13 stormwater section. So that's the bulk of it. But the other big piece has been increasing the post-construction stormwater management requirements to reflect climate change predictions and projections for future rainfall. So instead of just considering past historical data in the calculations for the BMPs and the stormwater management requirements, we're looking at future projected rainfall data that as best we can in our models and using that as our requirement as well. But I'll get the draft copies over to the commission here after the meeting.
Thank you, James. Did anyone else want to comment about that or have any ideas in favor or against? Assuming from the crickets that there is no strong feelings. All right, so that'll be great. Thank you, James. And we can see what we can do, and we can have this on our agenda for our September meeting. And if, you know, at that meeting, we think it's a good idea, then we can go forward with sending or submitting something that'll be part of it. All right, if nobody else has any comments they would like to add, we can move on to the third agenda item, which is canopy impacts. This is also one that's open for anyone's input, discussion.
I do have a couple items, one in particular that I'm dealing with Dummy right now, which is on an extension of the proposed bike lane at the 40th Street Bridge, sort of down by the railroad, that would head east along Butler Street, so to speak. I just was called down there to out. There are newly planted trees that were planted as part of the development review for the Foundry. I believe it's called the Foundry. That's the condos that are closest to the 40th Street Bridge. So that would be on the railroad side of their property, where we put new trees or required new trees in there for a buffer. They're probably now about 4-inch DBH, but they're right dead smack in the middle of the proposed bike lane. That is going to be a new bike lane extension coming through there. And then there's also another building to the east of that that has some older growth trees on it. One in particular is a large 30-inch plus sycamore tree that is too dead smack in the middle of the bike lane there, the proposed bike path. So I, basically told my colleague at Dummy that I am going to be sending an email around just expressing my, concern about how, these conflicts, all these designs are conflicting with existing tree canopy that we have. And although they're committed to replacing it, it would take decades to replace the value that's already there. So that's one that I'm dealing with. And Lawrenceville's already seeing a depleting canopy. They have really poor air quality. It's just a whole bunch of different things. So dealing with that, and then also met with the Housing Authority this week around a piece of property up at the back of their Arlington complex that's along a hillside that's been causing them grief because trees are sliding and falling onto the utility lines. And because there's only a few houses in this particular area, it seems to be a low priority for Duquesne Light as far as like servicing, because it's only a few houses that are out versus, hundreds of houses. So it ends up being on the low end of the repair list whenever their outages are taking place. So, they want to do a reduction of the trees along there to try to stop them from, hitting the lines. And I'm sort of giving them all my technical support and talking to them about steep slopes and how it could cause more issues for them. But it's technically private property and they're not developing it. They're just trimming and pruning the trees. So it is going to be a significant amount if they're able to, proceed with that. But I'm not really sure what we can do about that, except to try to discourage it the best I can, which I think, I've got them to do more selective, pruning versus just coming in and pruning a whole row of trees and topping them, just so that they might have, can have, should have, maybe fall into the, utility lines there. So those are two projects that right now I'm dealing with. And I think Michael is also working on an Alcazam project. So we're doing some site development review now in regards to tree canopy there, but that's all sort of in the zoning negotiation process. But those are three projects that I'm currently aware of that has to deal with some canopy gaps that we'll be seeing.
Thank you, Lisa. Well, it's the same thing with the PWSA, letter of support. Would a letter, from the Shade Tree Commission be something that we could also send to DOMI so that they, consider the trees more when they're starting it?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I have my bi-weekly update meeting with Director Hornstein tomorrow, and I'm going to raise the issue with that to see if we can have a conversation with the director of DOMI before we get there, because maybe there is some flexibility there. I don't see how much, because between the railroad right away and the property line, we did get an easement, but maybe the easement's not big enough, but I don't know. So I would say yes right now, but let me just get through tomorrow's meeting and I can email everybody back and report back.
Perfect. Matt, I think you had something that you were going to add also.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on the storm damage, and this has been recurring for a couple of years now. We just get severe thunderstorms. We have in 2019, Lawrenceville got hit by a microburst. We've submitted multiple grant applications to help deal with damaged trees and replant trees. We've gotten denied for every grant application. So we do have a small pot of funding. We're going to be replanting some trees along the riverbank where about 100 trees were lost 2 years ago. So, it is a long process of recovery. And, as we all know, it takes a long time for trees to regrow, and the impacts of climate change only seem to be getting greater. So, it'd be, good to talk more about climate change. And I know the city has a climate action plan, but how can we be maybe more proactive, and how can we ensure resilience with these storms that keep really just hammering our city's tree population?
Hey, Matt, I have a question. Do you know what was the cause of the denials for the grant request, or why they did not deem it important enough, or?
Yeah, not important enough. Not a lot of the funding that we look at the state level is more geared towards construction. So they want to see construction workers building a trail, not people planting trees or maintaining trees along a trail. So we're trying to bend the system a little bit in our favor, but it just hasn't worked out yet.
So technically the grant that was filed for wasn't necessarily really for the trees. It was kind of sort of in another type of development lane, right?
The grant was for greenways, trails, recreation kind of thing. So technically we fit our the rules of the grant. It's just the interpretation of the grantors that look at things a little bit differently.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, this is Rebecca. We're like getting ready to finish up a climate adaptation plan, Matt. So it would be, I know we've spoken to Lisa, but like if there are any patterns or anything with the trees themselves that are coming down, like if they're all, if it's, exacerbated by, say, like vines that are suffocating the trees, or any patterns like that we could maybe add into a plan like that. I can send it to you if you want to review or add anything before we do finalize.
Yeah, that would be great. I definitely have some information I could share with you.
Awesome, thanks.
If we're covering climate change related canopy changes in the city, just so that everyone is aware that we are having a higher than usual rate and will continue as climate change accelerates to have higher than usual rates of leaf desiccation and browning events combined with tar spot on Norway maples, especially on the south side. If you go up into Beltshoover and surrounding areas, you'll see large sections of forest that look like someone just kind of took a blowtorch towards them. In the long term, there could be health consequences for those trees, but in the short term, in the next 5 to 10 years, they are still going to be okay. They just look terrible.
Is that kind of the same thing that's going on with London planes? I've been told that like a lot of the bark is falling off.
That's normal for a London plane. They like to shed their bark, but you will see on London planes a certain amount of anthracnose this year with leaf curl and just unsightly foliage, and that comes from unseasonably wet late springs and early summers. You'll also see that on some of the oaks with some stunted foliage.
Does anyone know if Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy was still doing that sycamore study about the ones that were along the Carnegie Museums that didn't get anthracnose like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I can get a report from Phil and report it out at the next meeting.
Awesome, thank you.
Why don't I'll set up a meeting to go through our climate adaptation work. If anybody else is interested too in joining, maybe we can strengthen the tree section a little bit more. But I would love to get it in front of folks like, Michael and Matt and anybody else that's interested too.
Great. Let's do it.
Cool.
All right, so if there are no more additions to the canopy impact portion of this agenda, hi Jim Barry, thanks for joining us. I don't know if there was anyone else that came in. I just wanted to make sure I added that. So we are on to our Shade Tree Trust Fund update, which may just be for next month. But it's something that's always a part of our agenda.
Yeah, hey, it's Alicia. I can report out on the total and as well as, sorry, revenues for this year to date. So right now in our Shade Tree Trust Fund, we have $590,000, $656.13. We've had, since from January until now, $96,379 in expenses and $316,475 in new revenue.
Are you done, Alicia?
Yeah, that's what I got. That's the broad.
Okay, I just want to just as a reminder, just tell folks that, again, the Shade Tree Commission fund that sits there does not encumber funds. So that means the $50,000 that the commission approved for pruning, once that contract comes back, that's part of that total amount that Alicia just mentioned. The bucket truck support of $160,000 is part of that total amount. The money set aside for the tree inventory is part of that amount. So even though it's sort of a false positive, because I get folks all the time asking, why we're sitting on that money. The money's, I don't want to cause confusion about the earmarked versus the only time it gets encumbered is when there is a physical purchase order against that amount of money. And purchase orders only last for so long, so we can't get a purchase order now for a truck that we're not going to get for 2 years. So I just want to put that out there again. I know it causes a lot of confusion. Maybe at next month's meeting we can extrapolate everything we I'll use the word earmarked unless somebody else wants to come up with another word, but I just want to make everybody aware that it's not, I guess, free money. I'll just say that we've talked about how we're going to spend it and prioritize it, and we just need to be aware.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, that would be great if maybe we can do that in September or October if things have changed.
Yep, thanks.
And thank you, Alicia. All right, and does anyone have anything they would like to discuss for old business?
Listen, sorry, I'm not sure if this is old business because we already had the meeting with the mayor, or if it's new business because we haven't really talked about the meeting with the mayor. But just curious, like what sort of like the follow up and what the commission is doing with some of the sort of action items that came out of that meeting.
So I think was the meeting just last week?
Yeah.
Everything just runs together right now. I don't know if that's how it is for you guys. I would think that, that would be something that the city would want to eventually discuss, but I just knowing how it works at the university, has anything moved forward from anything from that meeting by chance, or is that something that'll be like next month?
Well, I can report out, and Alicia probably can chime in, that we did have a meeting and talked. We had phone call discussions around some of the positions and the new funding for some of the forestry positions that the mayor, talked about. And then as far as the tree equity plan, we are behind the scenes now working on doing the outreach, as he said he wanted to do more of an official press release around the 10 neighborhoods as part of a bigger initiative that he's taking part in on a climate workshop that's coming up in September. So we have dates that the press releases will roll out about the program. So behind the scenes, I'm just working with the neighborhood planners and the different neighborhood leaders to get the meeting set up pretty much.
We actually yesterday did a ride around yesterday, right, Lisa?
Yes, we did. We got lots of trees coming your way.
Yes. So we were kind of out in the community in Knoxville yesterday, Lisa and I, and spoke to the president of Knoxville Community Council and got their concerns on what they would like to see. So actively, we're kind of starting putting some data together.
That's really great to hear, you guys.
This is Quiba. Hi, everyone. So Lisa did reach out to me, and sorry for the delay, but I added Roy and Jamie to the email, and Alicia. Lisa, I'm sorry. I haven't finished my coffee yet. But yeah, I just threw out some new dates, and most of them are Thursdays because that's when Commissioner Holloway is mostly available. So we can move forward. Thank you very much for reaching out, Lisa. We appreciate it.
Sure thing. All right, I'll check those and we'll get some dates back and get something set up.
Thank you.
Really great, you guys. Makes me warm and fuzzy.
I think the only other one that comes to my mind was that the mayor did seem interested and ready to take action on the new tree code that's stuck in legal, and was offering up Chief Gilman to help ease the process there.
Alicia, you want to report on that? Oh, maybe we lost her. So we, again, have a strategy on trying to move that forward. It's something I'm going to take up with my director tomorrow. So I can report back on that too. But yeah, you're right, James.
Yeah, hey, it's Alicia. Yeah, the mayor suggested, typically, we escalate things appropriately and work with the lawyers assigned. But the mayor's chief of staff, Dan Gilman, as well as our chief operating officer, Cindy Casey, are going to take it straight to the top. So like Lisa said, we'll have an update next month. Action.
That's awesome, guys. I'm sure you'll be excited because I know a lot of you folks have been part of that task force for years, and it's always nice to actually see something come to fruition. If there's nothing anyone wants to bring up under old business, I want to just say real quickly, if there is any members of the Shade Tree Commission, again, that are not involved on any subcommittees, but now have the desire and the opportunity, time to give to one of the subcommittees, please let us know, because, you know, diversity is what makes things, you know, diversity helps strengthen our ability to accomplish our mission. And, you know, it just makes life easier when there's more people helping out. All right, and on to the last number on our agenda, which is new business. Would anyone like to start that off?
Apologies, can we go back? Can you email us the list of the subcommittees, please?
Can and will.
Thank you very much.
Do that in a couple of moments, and it has the members on it. If I don't have something on the list, let me know and we will quickly add it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Here we are with these crickets again, or the air conditioner behind me. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So it is 9:45 right now. Lisa, would you like to add something?
I'm just going to say that, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll have a little bit more content in the next month's agenda. It's just sort of, for me, we've just sort of been sidetracked with this storm events and such. So, but I will, you know, look into working on that list with Alicia and the budget office on trying to figure out what we have available, or, you know, what monies are sort of encumbered or whatever we want to call it, you know, for the next month's meeting. So.
Thank you. And honestly, like, I couldn't imagine, I know just on campus with all of the storm damage I've had, I've been ripping out my hair and ripping out everybody else's hair. So, and I have a tiny portion compared to, you know, what you have. So thanks you guys. Thanks everybody for everything that they're doing and contributing and volunteering with. Before I do forget, last year in the summer, we had to submit to the city that like legal document with how many, you know, our employer information. Does anyone know if we have to do that again this summer? Because I haven't received that email requesting the information yet, and I like to try and get ahead of things if possible.
Kristen, is that the statement of financial interest?
I think that was it, right, from the legal department last year or something. You had worked on it earlier this couple months ago.
Yeah, I know that you do in fact have to submit annually, but let me find out what the deadline is and how to get that out to everyone. Good note. I'm glad you brought that up.
Thanks so much, Alicia. We might already. I remember. I thought we did it in July last year or something. But
I think they extended it because of COVID. Like, I know that's what I seem to remember, that some of the deadlines have been extended. Not saying we might have missed the right. Latest deadline, but yeah, we probably need to get that taken care of.
Cool.
Yeah, and just a note that is a state requirement of any public official who has the power to direct funds. So we all you know, qualify and are classified as such.
Thank you, and thank you for offering the explanation, because it's always nice to know.
And just on that note, if you have other requirements, like I have to fill that up for my job at PWSA. I do it online through the state, and that covers me for everything.
That's neat. I don't know.
So you can list out what you know, all these things on one form. You don't have to fill out multiple forms.
So it's just like a one and done kind of thing, huh?
Yeah.
Efficient. Would maybe, if you wanted to share that website with Alicia or something, we could see if that would work for us, or we don't have to do that at all. I don't need to make more work for anybody. Mother Nature will do that, and all of our bosses.
For new business, during the mayor's meeting, Quiba had brought up interest in fruiting trees for for neighborhood plantings and for street tree options. I don't know what the protocol would be for this, but is there some way we could get that put into the hopper for whatever the appropriate subcommittee is to do kind of an exploratory of what our options would be?
Michael, thanks for suggesting that. And Quiba, what would you think about something like that? And Lisa?
Sounds great. Thanks for breaking that up. Roy and Jamie, any thoughts to add on to that?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm all for it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I think if we do sit down and meet, we can find out exactly what, you know, what your interests are and what you're trying to do. I mean, we do have a lot of programs now that support those kinds of things. We haven't historically planted fruit trees as street trees, but there are options, to get fruit trees to provide for food forests and for lots, but they do require a lot of care, more than a normal street tree does. So we want to make sure that we have all of that teed up, so that the trees succeed. So, I guess we could have a subcommittee to talk about it, but let's have the meeting first and see what you're trying to obtain.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
And agreed, and I apologize. I've been kind of out of the loop on things, but I'm back on track now, so I will respond to all your emails and get involved with the committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Holloway.
And yes, thank you everybody for working together and for collaborating and being patient, because God knows everything takes a lot longer than you ever expect it to. So then, is there any other wonderful things that we want to contribute or chat about?
Hi, Kristen. It's Alicia.
Hi, Alicia.
I don't know about wonderful, but I think I meant to ask this under tree canopy threat. Does anyone have an update on a pest update for the state, specifically to the spotted lanternfly?
Yesterday, we had a talk on campus with one of Brian's and she said that yesterday morning they had found somebody else had sent her a picture of some just a few blocks away from campus. I was super sad. I don't want them on campus, but I assume that Brian or maybe Matt or Lisa want to talk about the squash and report. Take a picture, squash the bug, and report it. Thank you for bringing that up too. It is on its way, or already here.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Brian can weigh in on this, but I can just report to you that we're still working with the state. They're actually doing treatments. We've been tasked with basically reporting out locations where we've had sightings. I think there's only been, on the North Shore, we've got reports back from Rosie from Friends of the Riverfront, and we also got a report back from our 1st Division supervisors on some sightings over, again, on the north side, the trail, the Riverfront Trail. So those have all been reported. We did get permission for the chemical application to be used, even though the city has a pretty strong policy against using that. We've been coordinating that with the director. But I mean, I know that it's out there, but we've only been getting sort of small reports about it. So I don't know how bad it is. According to, the folks we're working with at DCNR, there's not, they're treating what comes their way, but they're not spending a whole lot of time in our city, is what I'll just say right now, that I'm aware of. They're reporting out to us, but it's just sort of spotty. So that's what I can lend, but I can certainly check back in and give another report in September.
Yeah, just said, I think as you get more into September, October, it'll become more noticeable as we get the adults flying around. It's in Allegheny County, to the extent that that it's around. It still seems to be in pockets, as far as I can tell from what I'm hearing. I'm just was looking at the map, though. The entire county is considered in the quarantine now. They initially start with a breakdown within the county. But the fact that they moved that to the entire county, it's here. They'll still, at this point, probably still worth reporting it where it does show up, but it's past that point of being more detailed. It's here, and there's some efforts to control it, but it's not going to necessarily, I think, be, as Lisa said, there's not necessarily a whole lot of control going on. It's moving through, and it's here, which isn't great news, but it is what it is.
Would you be able to share with us, through email, the reporting telephone number or something?
Yeah. So in the website, the easiest way to access it is through the Penn State Extension website, extension.psu.edu /SLF. And everything Spotted Lanternfly can be accessed there, both from informational stuff from Extension, as well as access to the information from Department of Agriculture, DCNR, any of the other state agencies involved.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey, we also, Allie, who finished up her internship a couple of weeks ago, had made a few posts for us on Instagram. So there's one that is specifically about the spotted lanternfly. So we can also, repeat those. I know that there was a number or a website to visit or call that was on there also for folks to know what to do when they see them.
Yeah, it was a great post. She did a great job. You did a great job managing her, all of you guys. And working
yeah,
together.
She was super terrific, and had some really good materials that she produced that we should use and continue to post.
I agree. Thank you. And if anybody wants to do any social media Instagramming stuff, it wasn't all just the intern. If anybody else wants to do it, you can too. We're not greedy. We'll share. All right. If there anything else anyone else wants to add, I know some people need to get off and go to other meetings that we wish them good luck to. And I, looking for that person that may want to, do Mary Savage's role when she's in person.
Well, I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jane. Hey, folks, have a great rest of your week. Thanks so much. Talk to you all soon.
Thanks.
Everyone have a nice day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.